Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And I am feeling pretty happy that I'm actually standing here because I stayed up half the night watching the US Open. And of course, by so doing, managed to just sleep way longer than I would normally do on a Friday morning, ready for a broadcast. But good news is I made it here. The hair's a bit funny, but never mind. You'll forgive me for that. All right, so a very, very warm welcome to you all. For those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week to help each other cope with life. And I have a topic today that I want to talk about, which is um, coping with misunderstandings. And I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience where, because of various reasons, your mind doesn't correctly interpret what is actually being said to you. If any of you had that happen, and while you're typing that, let me just say that as far as I am aware, we I missed Erin's birthday yesterday. I normally put out a special happy birthday to her. So, Erin, if you're there, please don't take it personally. As you will hear, I've had a very strange week, and that's an excuse. I just, for some reason, didn't open up my day timer and see that, and I apologize. So I hope you had a super birthday yesterday. And know, as you do know, thank goodness, I know that you know that I love you dearly, and that would never be my intent. And that it is Becca's birthday tomorrow, I believe. What are we today? Yeah, so I believe tomorrow is Becca's birthday, for those of you who know Becca. So I thoughts and prayers for everybody who may need it. And if we've missed a birthday, please let us know. This is for the regular viewers, so that we can add you to the database. And I wanted to let you know that I've got a bit of a problem here. Hang on one second. The problem that I have is that my program is bringing up last week's, not this week's. So hold on a second. Why did it do that, I wonder? These things happen, right? I'll go to plan B if necessary. So I think we got it now, but I could be wrong. Now, the reason I want to have that is because, here we go. I've got a lot of notes in there that I wanted to check. Hi there, Kimmy. Good to see you as well. I hope it's not too cold down your neck of the woods. By the way, for those of you who've been listening to the saga on this furnace, my furnace broke. I'm managing to keep the house really snug as a bug with the fireplace and back up with some electric heat. But I got a gizmo this week that I really want you to hang on a second. I got to share it with you. Now, you've probably seen these advertised, and that's why every now and then I like to sort of show them to you and let you know what I think. But here is my feeling about this gizmo. It's a plug-in wall socket heater. What do you think? How effective can something that small be? You will be amazed. You will be amazed. I'm not joking. I actually put it in my bedroom for a day to see if it would warm up my bedroom. And and Jody's saying it looks cool. Actually, it's hot, Jody, not cool. But it has a thermostatic time. It has a thermostat, a timer. Hang on, what else has it got? Got to get the glasses on for you. So just in case any of you ever wondered, does it work? And this one is called that, bright brown. Um, has a timer, on-off switch, and then temperature up, temperature down. But I mean, just to my mind, I thought, and you know what I like about it? Last night, the temperatures dropped quite considerably, and where I was sitting, although the whole house was warm, where I was sitting, it was cool at the floor level. So I just went and got this from the bedroom and plugged it into the living room, and while I was there, and it warmed up the floor level. So, how am I feeling about that? Glad I bought it, and that's the interesting thing. It's like I've got those mini air conditioners, all right, and I swear by those. Don't I've got a fairly big air conditioner in my living room. However, I also have smaller ones that what I call zone heat. If I'm in the craft room, I can just have that with me, and it's this big, and it just keeps me cool, not the whole room. Um, Kim is asking, does it work when the electricity is out? No, obviously it's electrical, so therefore no, it wouldn't. But my fireplace does, so I'm happy with that. All right, so here we go. Have you ever misunderstood anything in your life? And the reason I want to talk about that is because it is important to know it can happen. And what I wanted to talk to you about is it's even more likely to happen if you're under high stress. Which, as you know, I was this week because I had to go back to the cancer clinic to go meet my oncologist. Now, for those of you who don't know, I had a mastectomy back in November the 10th, I believe, at 11 o'clock. I had a mastectomy, and now I'm out of the care of my surgeon, oncologist, surgeon, whatever. Now I needed to get under the care of an oncologist who will be responsible for my follow-up and maintenance. So I'm just going to get some quotes up here. So it was a little stressful because although I was pretty sure I knew what they were going to tell me, I still, I don't know about you. Meeting new people is always stressful. Will they not like, my sense of humor or whatever, all that sort of stuff. So it was not a day I was necessarily looking forward to. But I was pretty zen about it other than that. However, when I got there, I started to get quite severely tweaked. And that was because, sorry, I'm just trying to get the quotes here. That was because, well, I'll explain it in a second. Let me just get what I need and then I can concentrate, right? Hang on. We can do this. Nearly there. Any minute now. Come on. Thank you. Just not going to go easily for me today, is it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's just been a bad start. Here we go. When in doubt, just type it in Google and start again rather than find the link. There we go. All right. So our quotes are about misunderstandings, and I am pretty sure that we've all had our fair share in our lives. And somebody said that texting is a brilliant way to miscommunicate how you feel and misinterpret somebody else's meaning. How many of you have had that one go down? I have all the time. I just want to let you know that the first surprise I had actually on Monday was when Jess arrived at just about 11:30, I think she came. I couldn't understand why my warning bells. I've got a very interesting pressure mat, a thing under a mat outside my house. So if anybody walks onto that mat, it sends a signal into the house. Do you all know what I mean? It's like a sensor wire that goes under one of my mats. So as they come up onto my deck and stand on that mat, which they have to, it then sends an alarm inside the house. I got that a couple of years ago, and I want to tell you that's actually quite a useful thing to have. What I couldn't understand was that Jess was inside the house and the alarm was still going off, and I didn't understand that. And I was literally confused by it. And I'm going, what's going on? That alarm should have stopped by now. And I realized the reason that it was still on was there was somebody still standing on the mat. And that was Doug. And Doug had given up time as well to come with me. How about that? Isn't that beautiful? So I just was very, very touched by that. Very touched. Hi, Kenzie. Good to see you. So we all, got in the car and drove off to where we had to go. And none of us had been there before, new hospital. Oh, Doug knew a bit about it because he'd lived out that way, for a while. So he was pretty good about, the GP. I think Doug and the GPS were having an argument at one stage. And Jess was busy saying, but Doug, it tells me to go left here. And he was saying, if it told you to go into the river, would you? It was that sort of a moment. But it was just like, but we got there. And the good news was that I grabbed a coffee on the way. And it was a very good one. Because when I got in the car, no, you got to understand this. Talk about a misunderstanding. When we got in the car, I noticed they both picked up a coffee. They had coffee in coffee holders. And I looked at them and I said, and? And they said, what? And I said, and you've got a coffee, Jess has got a coffee, and my coffee is where? Yeah, right. They hadn't got me a coffee. Well, I said, that's, that's not good stuff. Anyway, so we get to the hospital, and then the bit I hate starts up. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if ever you've been through major illness, you have to keep filling in the same information time and time and time again. I know Kimmy's been through, she went through a pacemaker, for example. Jeannie, I know you've been through some pretty major operations for sure. Jody, has been through them. And, I think you'll all agree that they keep repeating the same information. And, I'm at an age where I can't remember half the stuff anymore. I mean, I know I've had certain things, but I can't remember them all. And I don't think I should have to at this age. We're in the digital age, and it shouldn't, I know it's all sitting in an electronic file somewhere. So why can't they just, print out the file? That completely upset me. And because I really am beginning to, wonder, can I remember enough, and the answer is no, I can't. But anyway, so you fill it all out. Yeah, Jody's saying, I agree. We shouldn't have to have that added stress. And some things I really can't remember what the results were. I got 17 stitches down my stomach, major abdominal operation. Can I remember why? I know there was something going wrong, but I can't remember what the end result of it was. I was in my 20s, and, it was pretty major, but I can't remember what the end result was. So they said, well, did you have appendicitis? And I said, for 17 stitches, they were looking for something, and I think they were scared of what it was, sort of thing. So anyway. And then did I remember my hysterectomy even? You know what I mean? It's just like I couldn't remember half the stuff. So the good news is Jess and I are now a tag team. Jess is really good with doing things like dealing with the front end of stuff. She and I have now been through enough that she just looks at me and says, you go and sit down, Sal, and, just relax. And she checked me in and did all that stuff, and then just and was helping me fill in the forms. So, Jeannie's saying a very good idea, right? Write down all my meds and keep it on paper in my wallet. I do that as well. I have that. When someone asks, I give them the paper to be copied. I do the same thing. Jeannie, it's a good thing. But you know what I think I need to do is maybe write down all my operations as I remember them over the course of a year, and then just go, okay, fine, attach this to the file. I'm not going through it all again. Anyway, so I was really delighted. Jess now knows exactly how to trick me, and she knows where I keep everything in my wallet. She knows where I keep everything in my purse. We're a team now. Kansie's saying, I really struggle with all the things I have to remember in a day, especially medical. I thought the technology would serve me, but it seems to serve them and add another layer of confusion. With tears in my eyes, Kansie, thank you. That's how I felt. I started to get a little confused. Okay, let me continue. Now that Kansie said that, everything else will make a lot more sense because you're getting an idea of where I was. I was a little bit scared. Because I was scared, I was getting a little confused. Not major, but just enough. And then what happened? A nurse arrived. And the nurse went through every question again. And I don't know what was happening inside me, but it was just like, can I just get out of here, please? This is not. But probably, and it was a good idea that she did because she helped me remember a couple of things. And I actually had said that I'd got psoriasis when I've got psoriatic arthritis, and apparently that's not the same thing. And so sorts of. But here was the funny thing. I know you guys will like this. There was a funny moment in it because have I how many children do I have? None. Have I ever given stillbirth? No. Well, who's sitting next to me except my son and daughter? And I put those in parentheses because. So the nurse looks at me and says, no, you've never given birth? I said, no. And I'm being perfectly honest because I haven't. No. And she said, well, isn't this your son and daughter sitting next to you? And I just literally, the English expression is gobsmacked, and Jess was amazing. Boy, she thinks fast. She just looked at the nurse in a look that was really quite amazing, said, obviously we're adopted. And I told the truth. It was just like, anyway, and that made me more uncomfortable. So now we've got that one going on. And then we get through all of that. I'm trying to think. There were a lot of other things that came up during that time. This took a long time, people. And I'm not a patient person by nature. And eventually, I had to get undressed and ready for the oncologist. And, Doug helped me through all the mastectomy stuff. So, he said, do you need me to leave? And I said, of course not, honey. You've seen it all, I just want to show you how well it's healed, So here's the other thing. Some of you know that I'm deaf, all right, that I can't hear. And you can imagine with everybody now wearing masks again, and especially, in the medical field, I'm hard of hearing. I'm about to have a discussion with an oncologist about my life, whether I'm going to live or not. And everybody's wearing masks. And I had mentioned this to the nurse, and I said, a deaf person lip reads. And I said, I almost feel that I am victimized by this mask rule. because my ability to understand things is dramatically changed because I only hear about one word in four, if I'm lucky. And so, it's just like, how many of you can understand my feeling on that one? If I feel like a person who can hears all the information. I know that I can only hear some of it, and that's why Jess comes with me and takes notes as needed. But I believe I have the right to hear it all, and therefore I want to record it. Any of you understanding my point here? I want to record it so I can at least go back and read what was said if I've got any queries about it. And again, I was told insurance-wise, they're not allowed to do that, because otherwise I could turn around and sue them. Well, excuse me, the only reason I would sue them if they told me a lie. So why do I have to get punished for them saying something wrong? That upset me as well. I don't mind telling it. And so, interesting. Thank you, Jeannie. I appreciate that. Jeannie's saying even hearing persons have trouble with masks. All right. Now, they both went and got masks that were clear at the front, so I could lip read a lot better. Interesting. Kim is saying, and that happens to her, but hers was about her eyesight. Right. And so, it's like, I'm sure that I need to get a grip because this is only going to get worse, not better for me. In terms of my ability to understand and so forth. So I need to get a grip and find a better way of doing this. But I'm very seriously thinking of writing to the media and saying, what happened to patients' right to understand? Right? It's bad enough if they're not wearing a mask. When they're wearing a mask, even more difficult. But then, all right, so Kenzie's saying, at very least, the medical practitioners can record a list of medications and ailments. Yes. And what they did is they said, oh, but we're going to give you all this information, sort of in written form. Yeah, but how many of you don't take things in well? There's some of you are what I call visual learners, some of you are audio learners, and some of you are let me do it learners. All right, Kent is asking, does Canada have the same suing culture as they do in the US? No, it's not quite as bad here. We're quite civil here. But what I wondered whether it was a human rights issue. We have a very strong human rights issue in Canada. And so there's part of me, and I'm going to be talking about that a bit more later, but let me get on to that. So here's Jess taking notes. I got the oncologist busy telling me what I already knew, which was they caught it early because I identified that I had a problem early, way earlier than most people, that it hadn't got to my lymph nodes. But she said, but we cannot be 100% sure that it didn't. And I don't know why that sort of stopped me in my tracks. And I said, I beg your pardon? And she said, it is possible that a couple of malignant cells, what do you call you? The malignant cells got past the lymph nodes and were not caught by the lymph nodes and could now be in your body. Yeah. Interesting. I just want to get a side here. Kanzi's saying the written form is next to useless for me personally. See, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. All right. It's just like I can't ask questions of the written form. Right. So yeah, Kenzie, don't worry about the delay. It happens. Not a problem at all. All right. So now then, let me try and explain what I understood as far as I understood. But are you all getting that I was getting pretty stressed now? Stress upon stress. What happens when you put stress upon stress? Your mental health starts to get affected, right? You start to not have all your neurons firing in the right direction and stuff. And I could really feel that I was not in a comfortable place. Really didn't feel in a comfortable place. Anyway, what she said to me was that the type of cancer I have had is the one that feeds on estrogen. I didn't know that they had a diet myself, but different cancers have a different diet. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I thought cancer was cancer and that was it. No. So apparently, the one that I had is particularly partial to estrogen. Um, so I found that interesting. So, I perked up a bit then because, I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning things. I said, really? I didn't know that. And so she said, what we want to do is to put you on a pill. And I was expecting to hear that they might want to do that. And she said, and this pill will deprive your body of estrogen. So therefore, if there are a couple of cells there, they won't be able to last very long because they will not be able to feed themselves. And she was saying that we have estrogen throughout our body, not just in our boob area. So interesting stuff. Jody's saying, when stress builds, I unravel pretty rapidly. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk about that feeling. How do you feel when that happens, Jody? And Kenzie, obviously you've been through this as well, and Kimmy, how do you feel when you realize you're starting to unravel because of the stress? And do you get more picky? Do you get more snippy? Do you get what is it? What happens to you? The reason I want to talk about it was I know I'm not the only one. There's no way I'm the only one. And therefore I thought, it's a good topic to talk about because then maybe we'll also get some answers on how to deal with it. So they wanted to do this hormone therapy for the next 5 years. Jody's saying, I start to shake and I lose my temper over the slightest thing. I have no patience. Yes, my tolerance goes as well, Jody. But I'm inclined, I don't know how do I best describe, the little girl in me comes out. I get a little bit more pathetic. Do any of you relate to that? I get angry, but then that triggers my inner child for some reason. I don't know why that is. And then it replays, I guess post-traumatically, it replays certain things in my mind. And then I get really, I withdraw a bit as well. So you make sense about the estrogen, all right? The cancer supposedly has gone, but if it hasn't gone, if there are a couple of still cells that manage to get loose and get past the lymph nodes, then that could, in the long term, they could feed on the estrogen in my body, and I could end up with another sort of cancer, way more invasive later on. Very, very, very slim chance, owing to the fact they caught it so early. However, there is a chance. So what they said is there are no guarantees here. There are no guarantees that any of the cells escaped that far, but there are also no guarantees that they didn't. You know what I mean? It's like there are no guarantees either way. So what would you choose? Okay, Kenzie is telling us when she gets triggered like this, she says she feels like Jody. I shake. I also can't focus. Thank you. And then I walk around the house without really. Oh, I walk around the house without really knowing what I'm doing it for. Oh, I so relate to that one. And you're in a room. You're going, why did I even come here? And you're going, I know I'm angry, but why did I come in here? And then, oh, Kenzie, great info. Thank you. So what would you choose? Would you choose to take the pill, even though there was a very small chance of reoccurrence, or not? Let's just first of all get that. Kenzie's going, finding keys. No, grabbing a form. Must remember my umbrella. Finding the keys. Wait a minute, umbrella form. Around. Yeah, well worded, Kenzie. I can feel that dilemma. Yeah. Yes, Kimmy's saying the same thing. She said, I take it for a long time and then I'm angry, hurt, and withdrawn. Yes, actually, now that you mention the hurt bit, I was hurt. Yeah, good point, Kimmy. Thank you for adding that. So would you choose, with the information that you now have, would you take the pill that would deprive any loose cells of their estrogen? In other words, it's, like a hormone restrictive pill. It will kill any hormones in my body, estrogen in my body. All right. It'll make sure that there isn't any estrogen in my body and thereby deprive any cancer cells of their food. So I was asked, how do you feel? And I don't know about the rest of you, but I said, I feel I'd like to know a bit more about the pill. It's just like, what do we know about these drugs, right? They do good stuff, but they also have downsides. And I sort of want to know what the downsides are. So hold on one second. Let me see if I can read you. I know I wrote it down here. Here we go. All right. So the pill is called letrozole. That's the pill they want to give me. And literally, very slowly, the oncologist read me the side effects. And what I want you to do is, as I read them, imagine you are me. And then tell me when I finished reading it, how do you feel? Right? So just for a moment, imagine that you are me. All right, so here we go. She said, I just want to warn you, you could end up with hot flushes. You could go like backwards into menopause again. And you could end up with quite serious night sweats. You could end up with nausea. You could end up throwing up and vomiting. You could end up with a loss of your appetite or constipation or diarrhea. Now, I don't know about you. Right about now, I'm going both. You could end up with heartburn, stomach pain, changes in weight. Now, I said, like in weight gain, and she said, yes, I didn't want more weight gain. I've got enough of that already. Then she said, oh, and you could end up with more muscle, joint, or bone pain. I didn't want that either. Excessive tiredness. Who wants that? Headaches, dizziness, weakness, swelling of the hands, feet, ankles, or lower legs. I already have that. Difficulty in falling asleep or staying asleep. Vaginal bleeding or irritation. Breast pain, hair loss, blurred vision. However, they said some side effects can be serious. So if you experience any of these symptoms, call your doctor immediately. And that was chest pain, rash, hives, itching, difficulty breathing, unusual bleeding or bruising, pain in the upper right part of the stomach, yellowing of the skin or eyes, flu-like symptoms, pain, warmth, or heaviness in the back of the lower leg, severe headaches, sudden speech problems, sudden weakness or numbness in the arm and leg. Yeah, and Jodie's saying that they have to list every possible side effects. I think That came to me much later, Jody. Yeah, when my logic came back in, right? And that's why I wanted to have this discussion with you, because I was now triggered and scared, and then I heard all of that lot. And what happened to me while she was reading that, Kimmy's saying it sounds like what any medication does, and I'm going to get to that in a second, Kimmy. Good point. All right. So what happened to me then was I then went from being a little bit um, overly stressed to anxiety. All right. To anxiety. Now, anxiety, for those of you who don't know, my definition of anxiety is when I stop being in the present. Depression for me is when I stop being in the present and I dwell in the past. That to me is what causes my depression, if ever I have it. Um, but I've learned how not to do that, so that's good. So what anxiety is to me is when I stop being in the present and I start worrying about the future. Right? That causes anxiety for me. So I went out of being in the present and I started to dread all these side effects. Perfectly normal, I believe. What do you think? But I was already stressed, so the anxiety on top of that wasn't helping me at all. Kansie's saying, I personally don't love hearing all the side effects from my doctor. It means on top of dealing with the side effects, I have to deal with worrying about them. Personal preference. Yeah, it is a personal preference. However, what I want you to understand is the journey I went on, in case you go through the same journey and understand, that it's normal, I believe. And Kenzie's saying, I prefer just to deal with the side effect for the reason you are describing. Too scared. Yeah, not helpful. No, it was the way that it was given to me was very serious and very slow and very impactful. And I'm going to tell you later how I heard the same sort of information from my doctor about something else. Okay. I could physically feel myself dropping out of the present and going into anxiety. And when the doctor finished um, reading them, she then said to me, how are you leaning? And I said, I beg your pardon? I thought I was being lopsided because of my boob. And she said, well, how are you leaning about whether to take the pill or not? And I said, quite honestly, as I sit here right now, I have to tell you that I am leaning towards going home and having time to think about this and discuss it with my family. And then she said something really weird to me. And she said, well, I want to make sure that you understand something. And somehow or other, I felt now that she was talking to a little kid. And that pissed me off. And what she said is, here's the truth. Sorry, I've messed with the notes again. So I want to make sure I get this right, what she said to me. So she said, just so that you understand, if you choose not to take the pill, I will be closing my file on you. If you choose to take it, I will continue to be looking after you. I don't know why, but I felt like I had done something wrong. The little kid in me felt like I had failed a test somehow. And that didn't help my demeanor either. And so I said, so if I don't take the pill, I don't get the support of the cancer clinic anymore. And she said, no, we will close the file on you and we will send you back to your family doctor. That's how it felt. And I went, really? Okay. How about you guys? How would you feel? Oh, did I overreact to that? I was just like, I'm sure it was the truth, but it was just like, hmm, it was almost like blackmail. And then that, of course, that upset me even more because I don't do that very well, do I? So basically, I've got the choice to go into, forced menopause again, possibly, um, and the possible more weight gain, possible even more joint pain, and all that stuff. I want to know, Jody, how on earth you ever go through your stuff. I couldn't help but think about you when I was listening to all this, and I'm going, I I have an infinitesimal chance of having this cancer return. Interesting. Kanzi's saying that sounds like a cruel way of putting it. You know something, Kanzi? That was how it felt to me. That I might have overreacted. So there's also that part of me, and I don't mind telling you, that said not coming back and talking to you wouldn't be the end of my world. Um, Jody's saying she's reacting very strongly to what you've just told me. I'm in disbelief. Well, this is how I interpreted it, Jody. It's not the way she might have said it. Okay. Because Jess and Doug didn't get quite the same feeling as I did. But you see, they're not the patient. I am. So here's what happened. This little kid came home, and then I sat in the quiet of my home and I started to deconstruct it all. As you know, I do. I replay the movie. I try and pick up all the bits that I can that happened. And then in the quiet, my mind said, "What about your blood pressure meds, Sal?" And I went, "What? What about your blood pressure meds?" Um, wonder what the contraindications, side effects are, of your blood pressure meds. So here, just so you know, and to Kimmy's point, all right, I went and got my blood pressure meds name, and then I researched it, and here are the side effects of my blood pressure meds that I take every day. Arm, back, or jaw pain, bleeding gums, chest pain or discomfort, chest tightness or heaviness, chills, cough or hoarseness, dizziness, fainting, fast or irregular heartbeat, fever, joint pain, large hive-like swelling of the face, large hive-like swelling of the face, eyelids, lips, tongue, throat, hands, legs, feet, or sex organs. That's exciting. Lightness, lower back or side pain. Funny enough, I do have side pain from it. Nausea, nosebleeds, pain or discomfort in the arms, jaw, or back or neck, painful or difficult urination, shortness of breath, sweating, swelling of the feet or lower legs, vomiting, incidents not known, abdominal or stomach pain, black tarry stools. Now, isn't that a nice visual? Bloody urine, coma, confusion, convulsions, dark urine, decreased urine output, difficulty or trouble breathing, feeling tired, weakness or headache, hives or welts, increased blood pressure, increased thirst, itching, light colored stools, loss of appetite, muscle cramps or pains, nervousness, numbness or tingling of the hands or feet, pale skin, redness of the skin, skin rash, sore. I've still a lot more. I still got a lot more. So, by the time I'm reading this, I'm starting to laugh and go, got it. So then I asked myself, you never reacted like this to this list. Why not? How did Mark, my doctor, talk to me about the contraindications or side effects of um, taking this pill? And I tried to go back to that movie and I started to play it, and I could see Mark sitting there going, Sal, listen, if you've got nothing better to do sometime today, you might want to read through this lot. Yes, all the possible side effects you could possibly have. Now, that means that somebody somewhere in the world complained about this. All right. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. It means of all the time that it's been on the market, people have supposedly reported this. Somebody has. And if somebody has, they have to acknowledge it. So he said, and if you read it, it's likely to scare you stupid. So, make sure you're in a good place before you read it. But, quite honestly, it's going to do what we need it to do. And that's the important thing. So, he sort of, if you've got nothing better to do, you feel free to sit down and read all this, but you're going to scare yourself stupid. I thought that was a great way of wording it. What do you think? Because it's true. All right, so Kenzie's saying, in terms of whether I overreacted or not, Kenzie's saying that she doesn't think I overreacted. She thinks I responded. Right? So what I want to say is my misunderstanding of the reality of my situation was not based on anything other than the delivery of the information. Now, the other part, because you know me, I try to look at all sides of things. I asked myself, was I unfair in my reaction, if you like? Interesting. Kenzie's saying doctors of the future will think the doctors of today were well-meaning barbarians. Yeah, you can really feel that shift happening, can't you? I something else that I know that Mark says all the time. Sal, you're an internet person. You probably have already researched all this. He'll say that quite often. And Jeannie's saying the delivery can be so important. So now, I don't know if this makes any sense to you, but I'm going, did this oncologist have to give me all those facts? I believe so. I believe legally she has to give me all that information in case I've got questions about it, which I did. But it also, and I'm sad to say that, it also soured my relationship with her, if you like. Because I'm going, if I feel like this when I'm getting good news, which basically, if you think about it, I was getting good news, right? They didn't need to send me for chemo or radiation or anything like that. That was almost a throwaway line. And then I thought about, it felt like we were concentrating on the negative, not the positive. And that's, I think, at some level, triggered something in me, PTSD in some way. That I'd been a bad person. So then I got to thinking, I'm not sure if that is the way in which she would deliver all bad news. All right. So if I felt like this over good news, I'm starting to dread what happens if she has bad news. Sorry. Huh. So I thought, if I felt this way, maybe other viewers will relate to it. Maybe other viewers can help me, because I'm going to need to go back. I've decided I will take the pill, by the way, and I will make that call on Monday, and they can actually mail it to me, and I will get a year's supply. Kenzie's making, and yet, and Kenzie, I'm so glad you're here. Kenzie's saying, agreed, Jeannie. It's everything. And what did Jeannie say? Delivery can be so important. Yeah, it's everything. It's so sad that we have to give people information legally, even though we already know the brain doesn't process that way. As I said, I like the way that my doctor did it. Hey, Sal, you've got nothing better to do with your life. Feel free to read all these contraindications, but quite honestly, they're just going to scare you stupid, and you don't need to be scared stupid. And then he explained to me, one person gets it somewhere in the world, they have to record it. So just, you can read it out of interest, and it's important, but really don't dwell on it. Kenzie's saying it feels like we are concentrating on the well-being and safety of the practitioner. That's how I felt. Oh, and there was another bit to this, people. Did I tell you about the recording? I asked to record it. And I was told no. Their insurance doesn't allow that. And I'm thinking, why not? In case you tell a lie, that I can bring it up and use it against you. And my attitude was, again, I am being victimized because I can't hear. Right? If I can't hear, then that's not right. This is my life. This isn't, I've got a pimple that needs to get popped. I've got cancer, for goodness sake. I have the right to know all this stuff. Right? So you can tell I'm pretty incensed about this. Now, you know me, when I get things that upset me this much, I am inclined to do something about it. So I'm now busy thinking, um, how many other people are having this problem of my age? Jody's saying, how can you make an informed decision that way? Yeah. So I'm looking at it all, and I am wondering. Um, I literally, when I'd finished all of this, I re-thanked Jess and Doug for being with me, because I realized how important it was that they were an extra set of ears for me. How important that is. And I cannot urge you enough to make sure that if you go to get bad news or good news about bad news, that you take somebody else with you. Because there is no doubt now in my mind that your mind starts to play tricks. It's not that you're stupid, it goes into some level of shock. And when your mind goes into some level of shock, even on good news, you are not retaining the rest of the information. So the misunderstanding for me, when I worked it out, was my mind chose not to hear the unlikely side effects. Right? My mind chose to misunderstand that one word. Maybe the voice tone was wrong, whatever. But what I heard was, and the side effects are, or maybe that is exactly what she said. All right, so Kimmy's saying she was thinking about the news that she heard about Ozempic. Oh, that's the O thing, and they advertise it, right? That people are getting to lose weight, and it's for diabetes. Yes. What about it, Kimmy? Yeah, they had to withdraw it, I think, or something. But it's just like I wanted her to talk about this because, in case it happens to you, that that's how your mind works. Your mind is very clever. Your mind filters things as it needs to. Oh, Jody's saying that there's a shortage of that drug now. Wow, that would, if you were on that drug and now there's a shortage of it, that would be pretty scary. Anybody on it? On Zempic? I thought Jody was on that. I could be wrong. Yeah, she's saying I am. All right, yeah, that's what I thought. Well, scary stuff. There's no doubt about it. Being ill is scary stuff. And I now realize that I need to put a whole new level of filters into my brain thinking when I go to see these specialists, because they don't play to my sense of humor, they play to my fear. And it's not their choice or their intent. But I now know that that's going to happen. So now I need to, because this is on me, right? This is, I'm not into the blame game. Once I can, the blame game is what puts me into depressions and anxiety. So I don't want to go there anymore. Now what I'm saying is, now I want to make sure that I am better prepared for a future visit. And I think I'm going to actually tell the truth when I go back. All right. Um, that it did scare me, and so therefore, I would like it delivered in a slightly different way. Oh, so Kimmy's saying the thing about the Ozempic thing is that it can be dangerous if you don't have diabetes. Interesting. Some people are taking it for weight loss and huh, and they're saying it can be dangerous. So, but isn't that a prescribed medication? I think it's prescribed only here in Canada, but I could be wrong. Yeah, the same as wasn't it Wellbutrin that they said also help people with weight loss, and that's like it's quite a serious drug. Um, so any other comments on this one? Any suggestions on this one? Because other people are going to hear this and other people are going to relate to it. So what are you're all listening to this and it could happen to you tomorrow. So what are your plans to protect yourself better when you go to see specialists or medical people in general? How are you going to protect yourself better after hearing this story? I don't actually, now that I'm back in my rational mind, well, as rational as it can be, I don't actually blame the doctor anymore. All right, she's got a job to do and she's got rules she has to follow. So therefore, it's not her stuff. I could really feel that the reason she didn't want me recording had to do with her insurance policy. Number one thing, quite right, Jody, make sure you have somebody else with you. And by the way, have somebody with you who doesn't overreact to stuff. You want an extremely rational mind with you. Now, normally that would be me, right? I'd be that person for somebody else. But, for myself, what happened? Um, And I've got this quote and it said, "You always risk people misunderstanding you when you say something." Do you agree that from the oncologist's point of view, right? Because I always like to turn the mirror. I've taught you that, right? Whenever you've got one of these things going on, imagine you are now the oncologist. What did she do wrong? Nothing. She followed her guidelines. She gave me absolute transparency on the possible side effects. And she kept saying, "This is your choice." She also said to me, "If you take this pill and you have really bad side effects from it, you can come off it." Okay. Um, and if you come off it, you can either stop taking any medication if you choose to do that, or we can find you another drug. So she gave me lots of options there. When I looked at it from her side, I sort of settled down a bit more. Interesting. Kenzie's saying, "I've told my doctor I don't want questions from her. Her best guess is better than mine. I asked her to tell me what to do. Again, personal choice, but my brain goes all over." Yeah, Kimmy's busy talking to us about the dangers of taking drugs meant for diabetes to lose weight. I don't think you can. I mean, that's what I'm confused about, Kimmy. You can't get those drugs unless they're prescribed. So then we've got a doctor problem if they're prescribing them, right? All right, so Kenzie's saying, "My experience sounds stressful and I feel bad for others going through it." Yep. So, but what I want to make sure that you all know is this: I don't think this is unusual. I think it's perfectly normal with somebody who's under stress. Interesting. Jeannie's saying, "I don't want the doctor making all the decisions. No, it's my decision to make. She did make that perfectly clear, right? This is my decision to make. I did ask her the question, what would you advise your daughter? And she wouldn't answer me on that. It is absolutely essential that, and we have got that far in today's medicine, it is my body and my call to make. All right? Whether I choose to take the pills or not is up to me. Nobody else. I didn't like the fact I would be punished for not taking it. But of course, I could go back to the cancer clinic if I had another cancer pop up. But, it was just like, it was funny how I actually, those of you who've known me a long time, after I'd finished playing the little girl thing, I started to turn it around and go, okay, now grow up, put your big girl pants on. And where are you accountable on this? Where did you go wrong? And where I went wrong was I didn't open my mouth enough. I withdrew rather than say, stop a minute. I got the idea how many contraindications. I'm sure you're going to give me a leaflet with all of them on. I'll read them later. All right? I could have stopped it, and I didn't. And I just heard one thing after another, after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. And I'm going, I don't want all of those. So I think that when we understand it all, it makes it easier to deal with it all. And here's a quote that says, never apologize to others for their misunderstanding of who you are. Yeah. Jeannie's saying having Jess and Doug there surely must have helped. They actually were very quiet while it was all going down. They're very good about letting me do the best I can, sort of thing. And, the funny thing is, Doug kept his own counsel on this. But on the way back, I was talking to Jess, and Jess was saying, Sal, just think about it. It's just a test. If you can try it, and if nothing happens, you're great. And if it does happen, you can come off it. So it's just a test, really. It's an experiment. Now, that was interesting. You see, Jess used a word I relate to. How many of you know I love my little experiments? She said, just an experiment. And she apparently did say to me, like your other drugs you take. And I didn't hear that either. It's interesting, isn't it? But it must have gone into my brain somewhere, because later I went to go and look at the contraindications of my blood pressure medication. So how many of you know that probably if you ask the oncologist about what am I like as a patient, she probably would have pretty strong opinion as well. Why? We haven't built that relationship. So if I go back to see her, I will, and I hope I don't need to, but if I will need to, because I have to go back every 6 months once I'm on that pill. And I'm going to say to her, okay, I got off to a really rocky start with you, and let me explain to you why. I got a sense of humor, and I need humor under stress. So my doctor knows that, so he's inclined to put things in quite a funny way, and then I can understand them much better. Therefore, perhaps you can just help me with it. And, if you've got 1,001 contraindications, how about you just read me the top 3 and say, Sal, I've put a pamphlet in there. When you're ready, you can read the rest of them. Don't scare yourself, stupid. Don't scare yourself, stupid. You've got enough other things on your plate without doing that. So yes, it did help. And I would say that please, 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 don't go. And I kept saying, I can do this on my own, right? This is just meeting the oncologist, not going to be anything. I'm stuck. Hang on a second. Not going to be anything serious, da, 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 da. Boy, am I glad that they came with me. Apparently the heat's doing very well in my house at the moment. So think about how we can improve this. And if any of you, come up with ideas later, or you're hearing about this in the replay or whatever, and you've got experience and you have to deal with this because of your illnesses. I realized, Jody, after this session, I needed to have a very different talk to my friend Jody, because I know how much of this you've been through. And therefore, you have built up some sort of coping mechanism to be able to hear that sort of news. And it was good news. That's a funny thing, right? Let me not lose sight of the fact this was good news. I didn't hear that I've got stage 4 cancer. I think they called it stage 2. I was surprised that they called it stage 2, because I had been told that it was stage 0. So maybe I misunderstood that. So moving on. If anybody got any more questions, if so, ask them before I move on, or ask them whenever, and I'll answer you anyway. So a correct understanding of an issue and a misunderstanding of the same question are not mutually exclusive. I'd like to suggest that I had as much responsibility in the misunderstanding as did the oncologist in her presentation of the facts. Would you agree? Yeah, Jody's saying it was good news, but so much hinged on that first meeting with the oncologist, and you were already in a reactive state. Yes, because of all the forms and everything else. But that doesn't excuse me. I'm going to need to get a grip. Also, that part of me that likes to remind myself of things, I have no experience of this sort of news. I have no experience, thank goodness, of these sort of diagnoses and what goes on. And these people are dealing with it like a cake factory, right? Bring on the next one. Let me go through all this yet again. How boring must it be? Oh, I've got to read that whole list again. They're in a whole different mindset. And I'm sitting here going, what do you mean? It's like your whole mind is in a whirlwind. So I'm on a mission to handle it better. I am responsible for my side of this, not theirs, but my side of this. Did I protect myself as well? I believe that next time I'm going to say, I'm not asking whether I may record this. I'm telling you I am recording it, or else I will consider it a human rights issue. I have the right to know exactly what you're saying. Hearing people get to hear every word. I have the right to hear them. If you need me to sign a disclaimer that I will not use it against you, I will do that. But I have the right to hear it and see it. So Jody's saying, I don't mind saying that when I learned I needed internal radiation, I promptly went home and sat in the shower and bawled my eyes out. Of course. Of course you did. Who wants radiation, for goodness sake? What's it going to kill other than the bad cells, all right? Jody, I know that you are one tough cookie. And I know that it is perfectly normal to be that scared. Perfectly normal. Look how scared I was, and it was good news. What am I going to do if they ever have to give me bad news? It's going to be a mess, aren't I? So I better get a grip right now. I better learn. Because I don't want to put myself through that. It can't be good for my body. That's what I'm thinking. Can't be good for my body. And here's another quote that I want you to think about. It said, if you don't clear your misunderstandings in time, they become a real reason for distance forever. Do you understand? I could put all the blame on the oncologist and maybe say, hey, I'm entitled to another one. Don't like this one. Gives me bad news when she's giving me good news. I could say that. But if I take my side of this and I take my responsibility in this, I go, hey, maybe I need to give her a second chance. And if I still am not happy after the second one, I think I have the right to change. So I think it's very important that you have a good relationship with somebody who's possibly going to save your life. And there's the other thing. Do I pay her to be a friendly person with a sense of humor? No. I don't pay her. I live in Canada. But the truth is, she's paid to be an expert at what she does. There's a difference, right? I'm quite amused that whenever, I don't know, I'm pretty sure you must have it in the States as well, but, we have that you can comment on your doctor's bedside manner type thing. That, there's a site that does that. Boy, whenever I read the comments about my doctor, you'll be amazed how many people hate his guts. And you know why? Because he tells it like it is, but they hate him for that. But the truth is, he tells me what it is, but he always does it with humor. So I burst out laughing. I go, okay, got that. Thank you. So is it true that each of us will need to find the right fit? So I'm going to make sure that I don't overly blame her for my interpretation of the facts. Because that's what it was, wasn't it? My misinterpretation of the facts. There we go. Moving on. I wanted to. How many of you have been following the 15 minutes of decluttering? We've got 3 of us that I know are doing it religiously. That is every week. That would be Lauren, Jody, and myself. That literally every week we choose to take 15 minutes to declutter. That's all. All we have to do is 15 minutes. And if you can't find 15 minutes in your week, then you don't want to do it. Fair enough? And what I wanted to find out from Jody, because we haven't had this discussion, Jody, we've had other discussions during the week, but what I wanted to find out from you is it having an effect during the week as well as the 15 minutes? Because what amazes me is how I am having a completely different mindset as I go through my house every day. And I wonder if I know you've had a lot going on this week. Am I allowed to talk about your medical thing this week, Jody? Because again, this could happen to anybody. But all right. So Jody's got a thing going on at the moment, which is called drop foot. Now, how can I describe this? Normally, when you walk, your foot does this. Now, drop foot means that your foot fails to come back up again. So what happened was she got out of her chair to go to the washroom, and the foot didn't come back up again, and it caused her to trip and fall. Now, you can imagine that scared her stupid. And the foot still is not coming back up again. So Jody will let me know what causes it. I would imagine it's neurological in some way, or it is muscular in some way, or maybe both. Oh, okay. Kenzie wants to join the declutter club. Oh, so excited, Kenzie. She said, I haven't been following it, but I want to. I haven't got into the right rhythm. It's not a rhythm. It is a choice. Just make the choice. Now, Kenzie, that means that I need to do. Are you on Messenger at all, Kenzie? Because we need to get together on Messenger so you can send me reports. Very exciting. In case you can't be at the broadcast, if that's okay with you. Anyway, so Jody and her drop foot, all right? So just so that you know, and she's still having problem. However, she says it has many causes, commonly stroke patients, but also sciatic nerve issues and diabetes. All right, so it can happen to me. I have diabetes under control. So But what she's found is a gizmo that has a strap between here and here that will hold her foot up. So she will walk flat-footed, but the foot won't drop, and therefore she won't be as likely to trip. So, on top of everything else that's going on in Jodie's life, right? However, does she use these things as an excuse not to do other things? No. That's the thing I absolutely adore about Jodie. She just just keeps on. She's like the Energizer Bunny, really. So Jodie did a great job this week. She got rid of another couple of bags of garbage. So, Kanzi, the trick is, can you throw out 2 bags of garbage, sorry, recycling, or no longer needed products? In my case, it's garbage. Can you throw out 2 bags a week? Or can you spend 15 minutes completely decluttering one area? And my recommendation, all right, Kenzie, my recommendation is if you're going to declutter this drawer, take everything out, clean it, and then try very hard to do 2 things. Number 1, only put half of it back, or when you put everything back, purge it first, obviously, then contain it. Find containers. Amazing the difference it makes. Sort it into categories and then contain it. For example, in this drawer, I have a container. My useful containers are always my Kleenex boxes of lids for my mason jars. Let me just show you why I have a problem in my life. Okay, so these are all the lids I've got for my mason jars in this drawer. How many of these do you think I use in a week? And these are only the wide mouth ones. I've got another one of these with the small ones. So, a couple more that I missed. There you go. So when I downsize, now I know what to do this week. When I declutter, what I will do is take out half those lids. Obviously, I don't need all those in there. Right? Makes sense? And I can throw the other half into a tote that's called, extras for my kitchen. Yeah, I got a whole tote of those. Challenge accepted. Yay, Kanzi, welcome to the Declutter Club. Oh, that's so exciting. So anyway, what Jodie's saying is that her husband Lionel has really gotten into it. He thought of a new way to organize the bathroom armoire to improve storage. You see, once you get into the mindset, it's amazing. I did something yesterday, and what I'm saying is it starts to travel through the week, all right? Once you get into the habit of it, it starts to travel. Because yesterday I walked past my entranceway table. I got a half moon table in my entranceway. And I stopped and I looked at it and I started to laugh. And then I'm crying because I'm laughing. I looked at it. And hang on a second. I want to make sure I get the count right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe I had 5 different things on that entranceway table that had to do with aroma. I had a diffuser on there. I had hang on. Make that 6, people. It wasn't 5, it was 6. Okay, so I had a diffuser on there. I had, this is a beautiful thing for a scented candle that Marnie gave me. Isn't that pretty? And it looks really pretty when there's a candle inside it. And this, by the way, the best bang for your buck if ever you go to the dollar store. These have got those beads in it. So, absolutely awesome. And then on top of those, I've got an electric humidifier thing, what do you call it? Diffuser, electric one there. So that's the three, you got that. And then I had 3 bottles, I'm not joking, 3 bottles of spritzing stuff, like Febreze. I lie. 4. I just seen there's one on the floor as well. So that was 7 different items on my whole entry to do with aroma. Do I think my house smells bad or what? How many of you are chuckling at this? So have I already downsized half the clutter on my whole entryway thing? I had no idea I was storing so much there. So first of all, the half bottles, or I realized what was happening is this can felt nearly empty, so I went and got another one. And then I would wear that one down, and that became nearly empty, so I got another one, but I wasn't using up the last of the, you get the idea. So, and the truth is that this thing on its own does a really great job. So, but here's the problem. This is so pretty. If I put a candle in it and turned it on, it would be a good idea. I don't mean turn it on, but light it, because this one takes a real candle. And I've got them coming out of my gizmos. I buy them by the half ton. So it's just like, what is wrong with me? And no wonder I have a house full of stuff, because I don't throw things away, nor do I do them the right way. So Jody, if you remember, you were really scared to get into this thing with Lionel. You were scared of nagging him and scared of whatever. And I said, don't be scared. Make it part of your life on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, that's when we do it. And if we haven't done it, we don't get to eat dinner. Right? That's what I suggested to Jody. That it isn't a discussion. It's this is a fact. We do it on Tuesdays if we haven't done it before, and we do it before we eat if we haven't done it before that time. And if you get into that mindset, it's amazing what happens. Kenzie is chuckling. Why are you chuckling, Kenzie? So I want to tell you that I threw Jody, I think it was 3 bags, am I right, of Christmas. I've got 2 totes of Christmas decorations, big totes that are yay big and yay deep. And I've got 2 of them with Christmas decorations in them. Now, most of the decorations that I used this year came out of 1 tote. So what I did was I took the second tote, all right? I knew that most of the stuff in that first tote I had used, and I would continue to use. So what I concentrated on was the second tote. And what I found out was this getting into categories works really well. So what I did was I put a protective thing down on my duvet cover on my bed. All right, put something down. And then I took that whole tote and I emptied it. And as I emptied it, I put things in categories. These are ornaments. These are gifts that I thought I might re-gift. And these are wrapping type things. And these are whatever. There were a couple of things in there I wasn't quite too sure what they were, so they went. See, this is the whole thing. It's the easiest thing is if you're not 100% sure what it is, get rid of it, because you're not going to miss it. So I decluttered 3 bags of stuff out of that tote. Most of it, funnily enough, was packaging. In other words, I had a lot of egg cartons that I was keeping my ornaments in. And then I realized, wait a minute, my ornaments are plastic. I'm so glad that we started doing that, having plastic ornaments. So when they drop off the tree, they don't break. And I always realized, do they really need to be all in those egg cartons? So I just decided to put them in there. And yeah. that they're really cheap to replace if they get scratched or whatever. So I just decided to get rid of a lot of the packaging. It was an easy way to get rid of 3 bags. But it was amazing what was in there that I could get rid of. I was quite surprised. And what I did is I just had my big bin. I didn't even have the bags. I just got a bin and I was just going, oh, yeah, that goes and that goes. And oh, really? No, that stays. But it stays in a category. And then I took Safeway bags and put everything in a category back into the totes. So all the decorations were in one Safeway bag. All the wrapping stuff was in another. I took a big Christmas bag, you know what I mean? A pretty one. Put all the other Christmas bags in it, and just got everything tidy again. So it was remarkably painless, but I realized that I left the Christmas decorations on the dining room table. And there's a good reason for that. And there's part of me that went, you really should put those with the Christmas boxes because they're going under the shed. I mean, under the deck. And then I went, no, I want to keep those out. How many of you know I need some Christmas decorations to stay out because of why? Anybody work that one out? Those of you who've been following my broadcasts of late. What is the thing I'm working on that will need Christmas decorations? I'll give you a clue. I did the bank this week. Can you see that? That's the bank. Isn't that awesome? I want you to concentrate on the pillars. And the pillars, I use popsicle sticks. Now, how exciting is that? So, I've still got a lot of photography and stuff to do, and I need Christmas decorations for taking those pictures. So those are going to go somewhere else in the house. I found that I had the furnace guy come in this week to give me a quote, and actually he was very good, very kind, and understood that, that's a lot of money for anybody. But what I did is when he needed to go into my room where I have my control panel, I I said, welcome, as I was about to open the door. I said, this is commonly known as the second bedroom in these houses, but I just want to let you know, in my case, it's called the storage locker. Some people buy one off-site and pay a couple of $100 a month for it. Me, I have mine in my house, so just take a deep breath. It is loaded like a storage locker. I've decided that's a good way to describe that room because, it is full of stuff. And it's my next project, people, and I already started on it. I've already started throwing things away in there. So I'm literally making a point every day of walking in there, and getting that. Now I'm going to talk a whole lot more about the Christmas houses on Sunday. Just so that you know, because I hit a gremlin on that, and that's my second misunderstanding, but I thought I'd do that in a separate broadcast because, again, it addresses a whole lot of different stresses. And that, to me, is an important thing. As you know, I try to make sure that anything that happens in my life that creates stress, that I keep notes about it so we can talk about it and help each other find new coping mechanisms for these things. So I hit a whole series of very stressful things about the village. But I want to tell you that while I was up half the night watching the Australian Open, I was building the bank. And it was just, now it is, you have no idea how fat your fingers are until you start doing something like these things, right? Because you can imagine you've got to get those little sticks in there but you've also got to secure them. And popsicle sticks are not easy to cut, people. I want to tell you that. So, it's all about, why would I waste the time? Because it is pretty, isn't it? I mean, seriously, people, look at those pillars. They're perfect. How much joy did I get? Oh, we'll do it on Sunday. No, I'll do it now. I feel like joy today. Now, I was showing you last week that I started making these butterfly cards, and they are beautiful. I mean, there's no doubt about those, right? However, did an experiment. Okay, here it is like this. And I don't know if you can see, but they've got little butterflies on the outside. Have I got butterflies? No, I haven't on that one. But the design calls for it. What I did was I put the butterflies in the same color as the backing. Can you see the difference that it makes to the design? Just bringing the color out to the front. Isn't that amazing, the difference it makes? And of course, again, why do I just not make easy cards, right? That's the question. The trick is to be able to just make it in such a way that it will fold completely flat as a regular card. And then when you get it, you can just hold the sides like this, and then it will stand up. Oh, you can't see that. Like that. Isn't it beautiful? So now I've been playing with different textures and different colors, and some new paper came in this week, and this is, look at this foil. Isn't that beautiful? Just love that deep blue. It's almost like the you can probably see it. It's a mirror foil. You can see, eh? You can almost use it as a mirror. It's that good. So, and how many of you can hear in my voice and even in my body language that my whole brain slows down when I talk about these? And that is what I wanted to just take a moment and talk to you about them, because when I got that stressed, I knew exactly where I needed to go. I needed to go back into Confetti Corner and do some serious designing and problem solving, which is what I've been working on all week, and I will talk to you about it on Sunday. But and I'm pleased to tell you that I'm now back into, I believe, rational thinking. I will be making the call on Monday for them to send me the pills, and I can move on with my life, and all is good. I also wanted to make sure that I had a way in which I could watch the Australian Open and still live, fairly normal life. So I've had this great production line going on, which is I get up in the morning. This is about time management, people. I get up in the morning and I sit down and I plan what I'm going to cut on my cutting machine, right? And I might say I need to cut out 2 more butterflies. That would mean the whole set, right? And then that's all I do is I cut it out and I put it in a folder. Hold on one second. Now, the reason I'm talking about this from my craft perspective is because it extends out again. It's a bit like the decluttering, right? So, for example, this is my folder for the butterflies. And in here I have got, oh, this is the green one. Okay, this is the green one flat. And then, all right. And then there it is like that. However, okay, it still needs an envelope. And that's why, and apparently we got a quality control problem because part of it's falling out. Used a different glue. So that's why it's still in the envelope. Got it? So, but this is a new thing. Jody's saying you're so very organized. Jody, this has changed my life. I now have a clean area in my craft room. Before I had bits everywhere. That's why I called it Confetti Corner. Now everything to do with the butterfly is in this envelope. As soon as I cut it, all the bits go in here. All right. This is my envelope for this design. Okay. And in here we have some things that I have cut. Okay, so the shell. Okay, so here's the shell, and also in there, I just took it out as I was walking. Some pre-cut. Some pre-cut foil. All right. We're all ready to go. So now the next step, because you know everything I do in steps, the next step will be to decide, I think I will try the turquoise. All right. You can see me smiling already. Yeah, I knew that was going to look good. What do you think, people? I knew that was going to look good. So this now goes into another envelope called, oh no, it's got to be weeded first. Can you see that? I haven't got all the bits out here. That's why it's in that envelope for weeding. Now, the reason I started talking about this and the US Open is what better thing to do while you're watching the Australian Open, you know, which takes hours, as you know, than to weed and construct things that take time. Because then you know you can listen to that ball going dong 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 dong. About 15. Yeah, you know if it was a really good shot, they're going to replay it, so I don't miss anything. So what I've worked out is that this is an ideal system. Cut in the morning while I'm tidying up and everything. What do we know? It takes time for these things to cut. What did I just find out last week? Oh, you know those little fences that we have? These 10 of those on one piece of paper. I've managed to get that organized now. Takes over an hour to cut. You can understand why, right? I mean, look at the amount of work that machine has to do to get all that done. So what I'm doing now is every week that goes by, I'm getting more efficient. I'm finding ways to do it better. I'm beginning to have the right papers, the right tools, the right packaging, the right whatever. Okay. And so I cannot tell you what a difference it makes to my house when everything I do is now in a little container, right? So now these pockets, and you know, as I finish cutting in the morning, I put all the butterfly stuff when I finish cutting those into here, and I drop it into a container that's sitting next to me. And I keep doing that all the time. I need a few more of these. I need a bit to do this. I need to do that. And then I drop it into the container. Then when I go to sit in the living room at night, I take the container with me, and I know the container has all the stuff that needs another step, like weeding or constructing or whatever. I can do that binge watching. So it works. And again, it's another way of decluttering. Why? I realized that I had next to me in the living room a basket full of papers that I needed to sort and file. Make sense? Anybody got them? Yeah. One day I will do that. And I thought, you know something? It's about these pockets. What if What if I just sort through it and contain them in the right pocket? In other words, I got one pocket for bits to go in my day timer. I've got one pocket for bills or whatever. I've got one pocket for information about the cancer stuff. A fat pocket for that one, and so forth. And I literally, in the course of about 15 minutes, sorted through all the papers and put them in different category pockets. And that sat next to me, and I'm going, that looks so much better. But after about 3 days, and this is why I want to just say to Kanzi, once you start doing this, you'll be surprised how it balloons out. Because after about 3 days of looking at those pockets, I thought, why are they even there? What? Why are they actually next to you? Well, some of those, if you're counseling clients and you've got those, and I go, yeah, but I only need that once a week. Why is it sitting next to me every day? So I've got these gray cubies in my living room that I contain stuff in. I took one of my gray cubies and I started to put the envelopes in the cubie like a filing system. Now, when I had a client yesterday I was doing an on-air thing, I just pulled his pocket out. Why didn't I think of that before? Didn't have to go rummage through paper to find all the bits. I just pulled out his pocket. Got it. Had all the notes that I needed. Everything was in there. Awesome. Okay, why didn't I think of that before? Because I was so busy concentrating on other things. I wasn't concentrating on how to get my house tidy. And that is the thing I want to tell you, is that once you start on the 15 minutes of decluttering, you will be amazed at how important the containment is. All right? Throw it all into an open area so you can see it all, purge it, and then contain it before you put it back in. Remember to contain it. And it is literally changing my life. I obviously will continue to work on my half moon table as you come in. And I didn't take a before picture, but as soon as I get it tidy enough, I will take an after picture and show you. But it is fascinating what you find in each place. All right. Jody was saying one of the things that surprised her is that she and Lionel were finding things that they had lost. So that is a good reason to do it as well, isn't it? So far, this is, and I'm going to give you a weekly update to hopefully inspire some of you. So far, between the three of us, we have 4, 8, 9, 10. Wait a minute, what did I say? I know I kept a note of it. Hold on one second. I just need to find my notes on this because I'm keeping a note how many bags of garbage we have already thrown out. And we've been doing this for a couple of weeks. Of course, I've got to remember where I put that note. Not in that one. Hold on one second. I know it's here because I took a note. Huh. Obviously, I put it in the wrong place. All right, so I believe that we're up to 10, right, between us, Jody. Thank you. I will find it, and then I'll word it differently at the top so I know what it is. I believe we're up to 10 bags between us now. Think about that. 10 grocery bags full of clutter has left our houses. Now, Kanzi's joining. Obviously, that will increase. And this is like, Over and above how much else we have tidied, 10 bags of clutter has left our houses. Don't you think that's inspirational? And really, all you have to do is concentrate on 15 minutes. And the good news is, when you know your goal is to throw things out, where will you start? You start at the place where you're most likely to have things where you can throw things out. Jodie's saying it sure inspires her. And contrary to what you thought, it apparently has also inspired Lionel. All right? Because he must be loving the results. And the joy that he sees comes from you at the time. Yeah, Kansie's saying she's actually looking forward to it. So pick a day, Kansie. What is your day? Jodie's is Tuesday. Mine I try to do by Mondays. Try. But I really have until we do the next broadcast. All right, Kenzie's saying, I'm going to donate a bunch of stuff, but the trick is not to drive around with it in my car. Actually, I drive around with mine in the car until it gets ridiculous. Then I go, it's obviously time I went to that place. Okay, so this week, Kenzie's going to do Wednesday. As you know, but the main thing is get a report to me by Thursday when I put the bits together for the broadcast so that I can make sure we give you credit for good work, all right? Jodie's saying another very important factor. Lionel would never want to disappoint Sal. And that is why, as a friend, I said to Jodie, make sure Lionel knows I will be checking in every Wednesday for a report. All right? Not just that he doesn't do it and messes with Jodie's mind, he's going to be messing with Sal. And I'm delighted to tell you he would not want to disappoint me, and I would not want him to disappoint me either. So way to go, Lionel. I'm very proud of you. And yes, I will continue to be checking. You see, I learned in management a long time ago that the staff always respect what the boss inspects. And so that is why with the Declutter Club, those of us who are part of that, what I'm doing is finding out what days do I get to check in with you and find out how did you do if I haven't heard from you. Now, I must admit that Jodie and Lauren as well. Lauren threw out 2 bags more this week. And by the way, Lauren, is amazing what she's been tackling. She's been tackling some really cruddy looking areas. You know what I mean? She's a scrapbooker. So you know how that goes. And again, I don't know if Lauren will watch this, but Lauren, I want to tell you, this whole business of having the pockets for different projects just made all the difference in my life. What I also found out is, that a lot of confetti ends up stuck to those cutting mats when I finish cutting. I found that I've got a bigger container into which I now scrape those bits. Just moving from a container this big into a container that big has changed the amount of confetti on the floor by 200%. I have 200% less confetti on the floor just by changing the size of the bin into which I scrape. Who would have thought of that? I did. Because you see, everything now I'm looking at it going, how do I do this better and more neatly? What absolutely has stunned me, and I don't mind telling you that because I'm not a tidy person. Now, when I finish cutting in the morning, I don't actually leave that area until I've tidied it up and vacuumed it. Me, what's with that? I never did things like that. And then I go back in the evening because here's the next thing I found out. When I'm busy constructing in the evenings, what I realized was that is a perfect time to be cutting really complicated things like 10 lots of fences, all right? Because I know it's going to take an hour. So on my way to the washroom, I set something like that going, and then I leave it and go back and do whatever. And then, next time I go to the washroom, I don't even bother to take it off the mat. I just put the mat aside. And by the way, I load up all the mats ready for this. All right, I've now got enough mats that I can load them up. And then each time I go past that room, I just put another one in and press the button and walk away. So I'm getting Much more organized. All right. Now then, that's a good point. Kimmy's saying, what do you do? Or keep it in the car if you don't have a place to donate until spring and when the roads are better. Yeah. So, just make a plan. Where can I store this? You don't need to store it in the house. Why? It's, have you got a shed somewhere? You can put it into an Amazon box or something and put it in a shed till the season changes. We've only got a couple more months, people. That's so exciting. And yet, I really have, so far done quite well this winter. Normally, I don't like winters very much, but we do have another cold snap coming in. I don't know about you guys, but we do. Just help me understand that better. Kimmy's asking who in here spreads old bills and when? Shreds. Do you mean shreds? After 7 years. If what you probably it auto-corrected for you. If you mean shred, I believe it is safe to do it after 7 years. Jody will check what it is in the States. Okay, so Kansie's saying you're in Kiwi land, right? That they had some major flooding going on in New Zealand. So, hey, and you had a change of prime minister. That was a bit of a shock, Kansie, that she just upped and said, I've had enough. I don't have the bandwidth to do it again. I was quite stunned because she appeared to be quite a popular premier that you had, or prime minister, whatever you call that person in your country. That takes courage, don't you think? To say, I just don't think I have the bandwidth to do another term. I thought that took courage. I like that. Yeah, it was a shock. Oh, Kansie's saying we broke her. No, I don't think you did. I think she's smart enough to know I've had enough. Who wants this for another 4 years, right? And remember, she had all the pandemic time. That must have been so terrible. People were awful to her. Yeah. I wouldn't get into politics to save my life. By the way, they tried to get me into politics, and I said, you're going to be joking. Why would I want that? Who would want to go into politics today? All right. Oh, you put them in a spreadsheet. Wait a minute, Kimmy. Let me just go back to the question. Who in here, you do spreadsheets of your old bills? Why? $7 years for tax returns. Anything that goes into a tax return, you need to keep for 7 years. That's what I thought, right? But if it's just general stuff, shred it immediately, as soon as it's paid. Okay, so there you go. You got the information, Kimmy. Good question. So if it's something you're going to need to prove, I have two different sorts of stuff, right? And I shred most of it immediately, or I put it into a pocket for Yvonne, who does my taxes for me. So I want to tell you, Jody, I want to check with you. How do you feel for doing the decluttering? Is it exciting to you guys now? Is it, do you start laughing about it now? What is the reaction in your household for when you go to do the decluttering now? Even though you need to say, we better do it, otherwise Sal will be on our case. Because she will. Because she loves you. And I know how important it is to you, Jody, so I'm not going to let you come up with any more excuses why it's not getting done. It's the same thing, by the way. Okay, see you, Jeannie. Good to see you. The other thing is, what I noticed is the more time I spent on doing the Christmas houses, uh, something had to go, and I didn't even realize it until it was too late. I stopped walking to make time to do the Christmas houses. So I'm now changing back again. I realize that's not something I can afford to shift. All right. Mind you, I was surprised. I was still doing about 5,000 steps a day, but I was up to doing 8 to 10, and suddenly I was down to 5. Yeah, Jody's saying, yes, it's exciting to think of what progress will look like after a few months. But the positive momentum builds, and we like to throw out a few extra items per week. That's what I'm finding. I'm not just doing it on the day. Now, the other thing I'm finding is, the kitchen normally looks the same, right? Every time I do a broadcast, it's got a bit cluttered while I was busy talking, because you know me, I get excited and want to show you things. But here is the thing. What I've noticed is this untidy person has been tidying up the kitchen before she goes to bed every night. And I literally keep saying, what doesn't belong here? That's all I say. What doesn't belong here? And I start in that corner, right over here. You can't see it, but it's here. And I work my way around. Each time I get up, on my way back from the washroom, I come in here and I start working my way around until everything's clean and tidy again. And it's just like, why did I not do this a lifetime ago? Who cares? I didn't. So I would, I think they meant shred them, not spread them, shred them. Kimmy's saying, somebody told me to spread the bills associated as you pay them, except for the important bills. Right. So you keep one envelope that you put in the stuff that's going to go with your taxes. Anything else you can shred. Now, some things you may want to keep because, you may want to keep the number of the plumber or whatever. So somebody said to me, it's way easier just to take a picture and then shred it. Take a picture. And then just have a folder somewhere in your device that has, old bills or whatever. However, could it get hacked? Yes, but will it? Probably not. So, quite honestly, we can shred most of it. So little. Yeah. Yeah. So, Kimmy, I hope that helps you. So, only the documents you will need for your taxes do you need to hold on to for 7 years. Nothing else, unless you want to keep it for some other reason. There's absolutely no reason to keep it. If you've paid a parking ticket and you can't claim it on your taxes, get rid of it. Right? If you got your grocery bill and you can't claim it on your taxes, get rid of it. So you're saying, who gets to claim their grocery bill on the taxes? There was a time in my life where part of my thing was to entertain a lot, and I used to actually claim some of that cost in my taxes. Because I didn't take them out to lunch. I invited them for dinner, and I claimed it. How about this one? Misunderstanding is an opportunity to understand each other better and upgrade the relationship into love. How many of you know, if I get the right mentality now, I can turn my relationship with that oncologist on a dime and teach her how to handle me so that I don't go into panic. She can be part of that process if she chooses to take the time. And that's what I wanted to turn this around for you, which is I take responsibility for my side of this. And I need to educate her on how to give me bad information. Because my mind will authorize it. And I think that's human nature. And I don't want to do that. She can tell me legally I have to read through this list. but I'm going to give you the list. Or, if that's what she says, just block your ears because I'm going to run through it. But you can read it later if you want to. If, legally she has to do it, she needs to tell me that. Yes, Kimmy, very good point. I do need to go, but Kimmy's saying I need to stay in one room and clean it, not keep multiple rooms at the same time. The 15 minutes, it's a really good idea to do what I was saying. Go to one room and start on the left-hand corner and go, what can I take out of this left-hand corner? All right. And then when you got that clean, the next time you go in there, do the next bit. I find working your way around a room is way better. When I go to leave my bathroom, I stand at my bathroom door and go, does this look like a five-star bathroom again? And the answer 9 times out of 10 is, oh no. So hello, starting at the back wall. What do you need to tidy up? And I work my way out. And by the way, I do it again, because I'm a multitasker. Every time I go to the bathroom during the day, I just tidy the next thing up until it's, by the end of the day, it's all beautiful again. So, if I haven't got time to do it at the time, you see, I now make little moments rather than the big thing during the day. And I realize I can do it one step at a time. I don't have to do it all at once. And Jody will tell you that 15 minutes of concentrated, I am decluttering and nothing is going to change my focus on that for 15 minutes. That is about discipline. That is about discipline. Because if you can't keep concentration for 15 minutes, then you need to shake your head and get some help. And that's what I keep saying. Focus, focus, focus. You've got 15 minutes. What are you going to get rid of? Remember, the trick is to get rid of stuff. So go for the easy stuff first. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, I hope that my misunderstanding has helped some of you. Jody, I cannot tell you how much going through what I went through this week made me think about you. And also to think about Kimmy, who went through the pacemaker thing, and all the rest of you. It gave me another level of compassion for you all. And I'm hoping that my discussing it probably upset some of you that care about me greatly. But, I'm hoping that my truth rang some bells for you. And that if you have a friend who has to go through what I'm going through, that you will be Jess or Doug for them, that you will go with them and go, listen, I know you think you're going to hear it all, but you're not. So I'm coming with you. That's what friends do. And I have to say, from the bottom of my heart, that the level of commitment that Jess and Doug have on this issue for me just makes me cry. That they have not let me do one step of this on my own. And I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. I don't think I have received that level of genuine love in that way in my lifetime, because you can tell it's not a maybe for them. It's like, you don't do this on your own, Sal. Your family. You don't do this on your own. And I was like, that's what family does, right? Apparently. I've always been away from family. I've never had family in the same country. So, it's like a whole new thing for me, and it's beautiful, and I recommend it. And let's hope that we all get to hold each other's hand and we all continue to be able to talk about it. That's the most important thing. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thank you, Jody, for all the help and all the research as usual. And to all of you, remember to go downsize, declutter, do whatever for 15 minutes, and it will make a difference. Believe you, it really does make a difference. Kimmy, keep asking those questions. They're always interesting, right? You ask really interesting questions every week. And I appreciate that. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, see you tonight, and bye-bye for now.